Well, good evening and welcome everybody to another edition of the Full Sail University Online Classes. My name is Steve Kane, and once again, I am here with the Audio Workstations class, and holy cow, what a week one Thursday it is. It's September the 27th, a little after 7 o'clock. We had a quick little dog barking incident, and but we are up and ready for action now. If you can see the Full Sail website, you are doing good. I had to turn my video cam off because it conflicts with the signal flow here, and everybody would rather hear my pretty little voice instead of seeing my ugly mug shot. You know what I mean? Yeah, I do try to turn the webcam on before class and then after class when it's not recording, and it seems to work all right. Hey, I want to thank Alex, Anthony, what's up? Bruce, hey, what's going on? Casper, what's up? Charlie, and David, what's going down? Deborah, Dimitri, how's everything? Erica Jarvis, good to see you here. Jeffrey, Jeremiah, it's good that you're here. Jonathan and Kendrick, what's up? Kenyon and Mark, good to see you. Matthew and Mercedes, I'm glad you're here. Michael, Nicholas, good to see you. Philip and Randy, I'm glad you're back. Willie and Seth, you are here. Sean and Tom, once again. And Trevor is rounding out our class. Glad everybody is here. It is going to be a fun night because this is when our remix starts. Or, you know what? That is so cool. It's almost, you want to say, this is when our remix starts. You know what that almost reminds me of is like the old and like, start your engines. All right, I've only been to one like NASCAR race in my whole life, and it was really cool because it let you bring your cooler in. If you know what I mean. All right. So that was cool. So here's what we're doing tonight. Now, I'm not going to do this every Thursday night, but I am going to be a little cool to you tonight because remember when you log in, it looks a little something like this. And under your course resources, you've got, when you open that up, you've got your remix guidelines, and that's what we're going to be referring to throughout this whole month. And as you read that to yourself, you know, I'm not going to sit here and read it to you, but tonight we're doing the week one stuff. Now, this is what I'm normally going to open, but here's the part that I'm normally not going to do, but I'm going to show you how to do it tonight, is the not the software there, the remix milestone, right? When you look under week one, you've got this remix milestone, and I'm going to show you how these are done. And so I've opened up this PDF. I'm going to walk through this one and this one kind of simultaneously tonight. Which reminds me, does everybody know what a simile is? It's the word you use when you can't spell the word that you want to use. Use a simile. All right. There we go. A metaphor. Right, and a simile. Or what am I, not a simile. What's the better word that I'm looking for? I'll come up with it. Anyway, as we go over this remix milestone project, I want you to take both of these and look at them at the same time, because although they are related, you're going to find that there might be more detailed instructions in the actual remix guidelines than there are in the actual PDF for the milestone tonight. Now, the other thing I want to do tonight as well is I want to go over this installs and updates section for you here and just make sure everybody is cool with that. And an analogy, no, what I'm looking for is, that's a synonym. That's what it is, a synonym. Yes, synonym is exactly the word I'm looking for. Not a simile, a synonym. Uh, um, so a synonym, that's the word that you use when you can't spell the word that you want to use, right? Right. Oh, the simile was comparing one thing, right? The synonym is the word that is like the same thing. Yeah. See, a joke doesn't do so well when you have to actually um, explain it. Kind of like, what did the thesaurus have for breakfast? A synonym roll. A synonym roll. Yeah, that one's. I'm gonna be here all month, so you might as well start laughing now. And remember, I'm not gonna grade the professionalism until next week. So, all right, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right, let's jump in this thing. Come on. All right, so week one. When you're looking at this installs and updates, before you do this, I want you to watch this video. I swear that will make looking at this document easier. All right. Now, I tell people that the analogy, to use a word dropped by Seth, the analogy for this class, when people say, hey, homeboy Steve, what's the best way to make an A in this class? Now, because I think Seth might have that kind of accent, right? He's from the South, right? Is that where you're from, Seth? He's from the South? He's like, so tell me the best way to make sure that I'm going to make an A. And I say, well, it's kind of like running out of gas. You know, the safest way is to walk to the gas station and walk back. Now, yes, that's the longest way, but what happens when you try to hitchhike, right? Is that always safe? No. So you try to take some shortcuts, and sometimes that's not safe. So just do the stuff that I'm telling you first, right? Do what I tell you. Just walk the mile, watch this video, and then look at this, right? Now, when you do this, these milestones are here, and this is part of the milestone that I'm going over right now to just make sure that everybody's up to date. Because by the end of the week, I want to make sure that everybody is up and running with Pro Tools, and they got their iLock situations, all solved and everything. So, under software installs and updates, one of the first things that people always ask me is like, well, what version should I have? And, blah, blah, blah. And my analogy, to drop that Seth word again, was like when you go into an auto parts store and you ask for a part, what's the first thing they ask you? Hey, what's the make and model of that there ride you got? Right? And so in computer world, that's all about your operating OS. And so what you do is you go under your FL menu and you look about this Mac and you go, and that's right here. And I've got El Capitan version 10.6. Now, matter of fact, I'm going to take a snapshot of this and you'll see why later. I'm going to hit Shift Command 4, and that's going to allow me to draw a little lasso around that, and listen to that. Bam! There it is. And I'm going to use that later because a lot of what version of Pro Tools, actually everything depends on what version of an OS you have. So if you've already downloaded that and things weren't working, one of the things that you would want to do is go under Pro Tools after you get it installed, and under the applications folder, you can get the info and right click and get that. But if it opens up, the easiest thing to do, if you've already got it open like I do, and this is the snapshot that I would like, please, is about Pro Tools. And then you see that it says that I've got version 12.8.2, and I would go, Shift Command 4, and just give me another little snapshot here. And then I want to make sure that those two work nicely. And so what we have given you is this cool little thing. Now, the neat thing is that whether you've got 10, 11, or most versions up to 12, like after 12.6, it starts getting a little bit crazy because they've started to add some really neat stuff after 12.6. But for the most part, any of those versions will work on your iLock 10, 11, or up to 12.6. Now, if you're wondering, does my system work with that OS? You're going to right click here and you're going to open up this software Pro Tools compatibility, that there chart like that. And looky here. And so I can see that I got 12.8.2 and it tells me that it is fine to run on 10.11.6. So if you've got any of these versions, you check out what we're doing. And we are not recommending Mojave right now, right? So if you've got, and I forget the numbers of High Sierra, but when you check under your About This Mac screen, it does tell you the name as well as the number, right? El Capitan, so 11. I get all the names confused. I forget if I said 1013, right? So you would look right here, boom, and so if you've got, let's see, 1013.6. So you know what? It's not saying that it is, but this might be. It might not be their latest updated chart here because this is a link. I would think that the link opened up their latest one. But if it's working, let it roll. But that might be something. If yours isn't working, that might be something to consider. Is to get back to an operating system that is a little more stable for that platform. All right. So now remember, the cool thing is also under this software chart is there's yet another, what, like I said, a second one video that you can watch here that is also very good. Now, this happens to be just a little bit older, but a lot of the same principles are the same. Now, yes, we talked about this the other day. We talked about opening the two books. I hope everybody has opened them. Give me an open if you're able to open your books. Yeah, that was awesome. I forgot who was first. Erica? Was Erica first? Yes, Erica won, followed by Seth and Sean for the third, Deborah for fourth, Nick, Jarvis, Alex, Michael, Randy. I'm missing a lot of people because it's all missing. Nick, Bruce, Randy. Yeah, I'm going to quit doing that because every time somebody says that, it moves on me and my eyes are going like, what? But thank you, everybody. Jonathan Thomas, Antonio Keenan, Sean Kendrick, David, Trevor, Michael, Alex, Jarvis. I think I got everybody. Right? Bruce and Randy, Deborah, Nick. All right. Yeah. Thank you for your interaction. I love it. So I will reward you with a stupid joke. Do you know why the chicken crossed the playground? To get to the other slide. All right, sorry, I get to laugh at myself sometimes. All right, so remember, at the bottom of this, you've got all your FSO support help information. They can help you get your Pro Tools system up and rolling, and that is there for your goody goodness. Now, you've also got Avid help support for a year after you activate it, so use that. Make sure you don't just let it go, All right, so that's software installs and updates. And if you do that right, you should be able to download this test session and have that play for you. Now, you might be looking at a different window, so make sure that you're looking maybe at the edit or the mix window when you go for that session and see if it looks the same as ours. But pretty much if you are hearing it, you are a groover. Things should not be grayed out. If things are grayed out in your system, that's never good. So make sure you get that going on. All right, so any questions about installs and updates? If you are good, you can tell me. Let's say Philip's like, what about the plugins? Yeah, make sure you check out those videos on how to install the plugins. It's going to show you how to get both. You need all three of them, your Air plugins and instruments, your Air effects, and then your expand plugin. All right, so if you are having some issues, stick around after class. I can see what I can do to help you out, and we'll get rolling from there. But that's the up software installs and updates portion of tonight's lecture. All right. So when you go into this remix milestone, and this is the thing that I told you that I'm going to be Randy is saying in order to open the actual link, the Pro Tools software has to be open. No, not at all. Now, so for this milestone project, I'm not going to normally go over this every week with you, but I am going to this week so you can see what it's about. Because what this is designed for is to show you that, or to make sure that you have made significant progress in order throughout the month to get your session turned in right. And so we're going to ask you to do several different things, and in order to get ready to turn everything in and make sure that you're up to speed and all that kind of cool stuff. And so that's what these milestones are designed to do. Now, ultimately, what they are is just a PDF, and you label them and put some pictures down for me. And that way I can look at the pictures and say, yup, good, they've got that. Yup, good, they've got that. Yup, good, they've got that. Yup, good, they got that. So these should be really good, easy assignments for you to do very, very well in. And so let's go over this. And as I said, as we get down into like number 3 and such, some of these are going to be replicated in the remix milestone, which I'm going to drag over here so we can just go back and forth. All right, so come on. Remix milestone, where did you go? That's the remix project guidelines. Where'd the milestone go? Did I accidentally delete that? All right, so, okay, well, come on. There we go. Okay. So, so at the end of the month, we're going to have you turn in the project for Dropbox. So while we're just starting and everything's easy, I want you to just go register for Dropbox. Now, so when you go there, don't worry about paying anything. I don't want you to pay anything. I just want you to get a free account, right? By the way, for the record, free is my second favorite 4-letter F word. Food is my first, if you were wondering. And yes, you can use your current Dropbox. All right. So, some people are like, amen, brother, you and me both. Same here. I love it. I love it. All right. So free. See, even look at that. They're like, you're full. So I'm not even worried about paying for my own. So just make sure that you get a free, thing here, and, that you're able to do it and turn it in later. All right, and you're going to find out later on you'll need to take a snapshot of that too, just kind of a little precursor. Now, remember as we start going down this document tonight, remember all of my expectations from the other night hold true to tonight. So, number 1, I do not expect you to have Pro Tools open and trying to follow along with me. I want you to just relax, laugh at my jokes, and watch and make sure that everything is making sense as I do it, right? I do not expect you to fully understand it and say, oh, well, I'm going to be able to go do it right after we stop the session, all right? So I want to make sure that everybody then understands that if it's not making sense as you watch me do it, I want you to ask me questions if you are in my live room. So Alex, Antonio, Bruce, Casper, Charlie, David, Deborah, Dimitri, Erica, Jarvis, Jeff, and Jonathan, Kedrick, Keenan, Mark, Matthew, Mercedes, Michael, Nicholas, Philip, Rachel, Randy, Willie, Seth, Sean C, Sean W, Tom R, Thomas, and Trevor. Give me a question mark if you will promise to ask me questions if it's not making sense. All right? Because if it's not making sense right now, then I don't care how many times you watch the video at the end of the week and over the weekend, you're not going to understand it. So, thank you for your interaction there, everybody. I appreciate all those question marks. I will reward you with another joke. You're like, what a reward. Okay, now this one is a really crappy joke. I'm telling you right now. What's brown and sounds like a bell? Dung. See, crappy joke. That was like a 2-for-1. That was like a bam. All right, so register for Dropbox. All right, now in week 1, you're gonna have the remix stem selection assignment. So when we look over at week 1, you've got in week 1, or as much some of my friends say, week uno. Check this out. You've got the remix stem selection. Now, when you are here, you've got 3 to choose from. You've got one called Beautiful. You've got one that's called Take Me, and one that's called War. Right now, I've already downloaded all these to save a little time tonight, but I want to take a quick vote of which one you want me to work on throughout this month. So let's see. I'm not going to be able to take an official one. I'm just going to kind of cruise through. People are saying war, take me, war, beautiful, war is dope, war. All right, so I'm seeing more wars than anything else. All right, so let's do war. All right, war it is. All right, so when you're down here, it says download the project stems within week 1. And so when you're down here on this project stems, you're going to download this stem file, right? And as you see before your eyes in my Finder, you will see when I hit Shift Command O in my Documents folder for your class, I have downloaded War Beautiful, and I've got all that. So I've got the stems for War already here. All right, so I've downloaded these, and I have already started a Pro Tools project as we've got going on, and we are ready to get these things imported. So let's cruise on over to the milestone again. So we've downloaded the project stems within the week 1 stems. All right, so any questions about the downloads? If you were cool with the downloads, say DL for downloads. Love it, everybody. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, man. The screen is just going too fast. It's like I've got to do a photo recall of who was actually first because it was like boom, boom, boom. Seth was first, followed by Erica and Sean, and then Antonio for my top 4 right there. Followed by, we got Nicholas coming in. Holy cow. The screen is changing. Nicholas, David, Philip, Jonathan, Michael, Casper, Alex, Thomas, Trevor, Kendrick, Keenan, Sean, Bruce, Randy, Willie, Matthew. He's in all caps. Matthew! Rachel, Deborah. Could I review it? Yes, I will. I would totally love to. So what I want to make sure that you do is you go over to the week 1 folder, and when you have seen the remix stem selection. You click on that, and you are going to take a listen to the original songs, only paying attention to the vocal because that's the only thing we're going to keep really. And then you're going to decide which stem package to download. And then so as you download that, as you see, I've downloaded them already. I've got my 3-zip files, and they all break into these stems for you to get. So we're going to use War tonight. And with that being said, it's going to be a fun time. So let's go back to our remix guidelines and make sure. So we're going to create a new Pro Tools session and import the stems into my session. All right. So the way we're going to create a new session, and what I want you to do is create a new command in, and I want you to name this your name, and then AWK Final Remix Project, and then the song that we're doing is War. All right. Now, I want you to use WAV files. AIFF are great, but they do not do well on PCs. So especially if you're wanting to go back and forth on PCs, you got to use a WAV file. I want you to use a 48K sample rate, please. Now, a brief explanation. We're going to hit pause and jump down this teaching tunnel. Everybody give me TT. Let me know that you're cool with jumping down the teaching tunnel. All right. So at 44.1, that still captures a sample of a frequency of half of that, of 22K. That is fine. That is awesome. However, 48 goes down to 24, goes down to half again. Now, because I might want it to go to a film like DVD and go to 96, it's going to be much easier to get 48K up to 96 because it's a simple times 2 than it is 44.1. Now, everybody's got their own thing, so different people might ask you to do different things, so always do what your client wants. But for me, 48K. And then what I want is 24 bits. Now, the teaching tunnel of this is this tells us about our dynamic range. All right. Now, for every bit that I add, I get 6 dB of dynamic range. Well, if you do a little math, 6 times 16 says I get 96 dB of dynamic range. And believe it or not, that is lower than what our ears are used to. A loud concert is anywhere from 100 to 110, and by 140, it's getting really painful and bloody. So 16 is way under what our ear can tolerate. Yet when we multiply 24 by 6, we get 144, which is really gross, which is a number joke, because 12 times 12 is gross. It's 144. Now, that lets me know that that is more than my ear can handle, so it's going to capture everything great, right? So I'm going to choose 24-bit. Now, 32-bit, it's kind of like measuring by millimeters or centimeters, right? And so what I want to do is make sure that I'm getting enough information without overkill. 32-bit is like overkill. Now, the way I've described this, to use an analogy, Seth, is this is kind of like somebody saying, well, hey, how hot was it today? And somebody might say, dude, it was really hot. It is like 94 degrees. And then 16-bit is like saying it's 94 point blah, 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 and using 16 numbers. You get a really, really good idea of what degrees it is, right? And then when they describe the same weather, they're saying, yep, it's 94 point blah, 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 and they just listed off 24 numbers in total, right? Now, when you get into floating bits, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I don't want everybody to like, oh, my head hurts. But it is the same as 24-bit with 8 bits of zoom. All right, so that's all I want to hit for right now, and you can read about that or ask me more about that later. It is not going to be a test question about that. But what I do want to make sure is that everybody knows that I want their project in 2448. So everybody give me 2448 up on the screen to make sure you're down with that. Yippee-yi-yay. Yep, 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 yep. Alrighty. Woo, baby. I love that. Man, y'all are awesome. Hey, you know what's brown and sticky? A stick. You thought it was going to be something bad. Just a stick. All right. So I'm not actually going to. The other thing that we want is interleave stereo files. All right. Now, because I'm a little CDO, which is OCD, I just am so OCD, I have to actually alphabetize the letters. Right. I like to prompt for location every single time so I know exactly where my stuff is. There's nothing worse to me than when a student comes up and he's like, "Oh, hang on, let me find it here. I gotta look. Wait a minute. It's under. It's like, dude, you've lost the record deal, right? You gotta know where your stuff is, right? So, prompt for location. I'm not gonna hit create because I've already created a section, and I will just prove to you that. By the way, any window that you want is under the window except this one, under the window menu, except the session setup window. That's under the setup menu, and that shows you what's going down. And this is how I'm going to check your stuff to make sure that it is indeed 2448 with interleaved files that are wave. And BWF, by the way, stands for broadcast wave, baby. Except they left the B off for the end when they say baby. All right. Any questions about that stuff? Can we move on? All right, so check it out. I'm going to show you something really cool. I'm going to hold down Shift and Option, and I'm going to right-click on this little ruler, and I'm going to make all of these tracks small. All right? So they all did it at once because I held down Shift and Option. Everybody give me an SO for Shift and Option. That's called Apply to Selected Tracks, right? Thank you, Erica. I think I saw your name up there first. I appreciate all the activity. Man, I love this. I'm not going to call out everybody's name because then we'll use half the class time calling out everybody's name, but know that feel the love. Can you feel the love tonight? They're like, I will if you do another delay for me. Way to go! All right, I'll reward you with a delay. How about that? And a joke later on. Let's get to this, the meat and potatoes, because now I got to import these stems. So check it out. I'm going to go to Pro Tools first, and I'm going to teach you a shortcut. I'm going to go first. I'm going to go under the preferences of Pro Tools, which is under the Pro Tools menu, preferences, like that, right there, right here, like that, and go up under that there processing tab right there, right? And what I want you to make sure is that you automatically copy the files on import, because that's making it real good like, right? And then, in case they were different file formats, you want to automatically convert the copied file formats to that there session format. So if these two boxes aren't checked on your preferences right there up under the processing tab, I want you to make sure you do that real good like, all right? Now hit that there OK button like that. Awk. Now I'm going to show you how real quick to drag these in. Some people are like, this is such a drag. It's like totally, it's like a drag. No, check it out. Get all of them. So hold down Shift and drag all of them in, and look what happens. Look what happens. Watch this. Watch this. Put them right here at the beginning. Watch. Let them go. Watch it. Watch it populate. Right? Watch it grow. Right? Shift. Right? 3 fingers down. Oh, I should have asked you. That was a really good test question right there. 3 fingers down, right? So now I got everything in. But look, it's starting right at measure 1, beat 2, tick 23. What mode could I grab to quickly put it at the beginning? Grid, slip, grid, shuffle. Right. You know what? If you know what you're doing, they'll pretty much all do it. I can slip it all the way here. I just got to get my grabber tool, right? So let's look at these tools real quick. So the grabber is going to grab everything and move it as a whole. And if I'm in grid or slip or shuffle, shuffle would be good. I can, pop it up and it's, right there as long as I'm starting at 111. Now, I actually don't want them starting at 1. I want them starting at measure 3. So now that I know an exact spot, what mode should I use? Spot mode. Very good, Michael. All right, so check it out. I'm going to go over a couple quick keys real quick, so get ready for this, y'all. All right. Let me go to a normal zoom. All right. So look down at your space bar real quick. Remember, that's the place that Han Solo goes after he's done dealing with the bad guys. And you're going to notice Option and Command there, just to the left of your space bar. Which reminds me, do you know what you do when you see a spaceman? You park in it, man. All right, so Option is on the left side. Command is on the right side. And look at this. Modes are on the left side and tools are on the right side. So which one of those keys do you think is the quick key to change the modes? That's right. Option, because that's on the left. So, and check out how it goes. Option 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you keep hitting 4, it goes back and forth to a relative grid mon, right? 4, 3, 2, 1, right? So now check it out. Some people are saying, holy moly. So does that mean that their command key, because that's on the right, controls these? Yes. Look at this. Command 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 will get the smart tool going on. So 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, any of these that have a drop down, like this number 2, if I keep hitting Command 2, it will cycle through all of them, or 6, right? It'll cycle through all of them. All right. So what I'm going to do then is get the spot mode. So I'm going to hit Option 3, and then I'm going to get my grabber. So I'm going to hit Command 4. And then I'm going to go click on all of these since they're all hidden up, and I'm going to go place them right at measure 3 and hit Enter. All right. So I'm going to now hit Save. All right. And with this artist song, I guess I should do, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and do a save as, because what we're going to start doing is we're going to start doing this, and we're going to start tempo mapping. So I'm going to name this War, and then this is day 1, and we're going to tempo map now. All right. So let's listen and see what we got here. 3 fingers down. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a very silly question. What instrument from the very beginning is great for establishing the tempo? Okay, the piano right now, right? Eventually drums kick in, but at the beginning, I don't have drums. So at the very beginning, I've got to start paying attention to my piano, all right? So I'm going to hit save real quick, and let's go over here, and so create a new Pro Tools session and import the stems into my session. Now, I want to stress a few things. I'm jumping down the TT real quick. right? Jumping down the teaching tunnel. Because I had that preference checked, when I dragged that in, it populated my audio files folder for me, right? I did a save as, and I've got my day one tempo map. So there's my session, and everything's groovy, right? So by importing those tracks, just by dragging them down, it automatically made them for me. It automatically named them what they were named. It automatically put them in the tracks list. It automatically put them in the clips list. And because they're bold, that means that it is a whole file. And that whole file means that it is found in the audio. It is the whole piece of audio, not an edit that I have chopped up like a clip. All right. So we're going to jump down there so far. So all I've done is create a new session. And I think from here it says all tracks must be downloaded, create a tempo map. All right. And place them all at measure 3. So that's why I did that. All right. So now create a tempo map using the original tracks. So the click or a simple drum track will follow, and that corresponds with create a click track in our Pro Tools session and adjust the tempo so it locks with the click of the audio tracks. Now, thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. No, I'm being sincere. I'm trying to do that. If y'all pay attention, I'm trying to help out here. All right, so now, so let's go create a tempo, a click track, right? So to get rid of this silly line, just hit Command equals. It just goes back and forth from the edit window to the mix window, and it's the way to get rid of that white stripe. I mean, that's a cool band, White Stripes, but I hate it through there. So the click track is what is used in tandem with the metronome, because if we look at our transport window, which is found under what menu would I look for the transport window from? Under which menu would I look for the transport window? Thank you. Very good. Erica is on fire tonight, girl. All right, so check this out. Homeboy Steve is going to teach you that Command 1 over on the calculator keypad. We'll get that bad boy up because it's probably the first window that you want to look at. All right. So one of the things that I want to point out is that notice that I've got a lot of rulers over here. And these are simple like I made them last time. You can look under here, but I at least want bars and beats. All right. For right now, and then I want markers and tempo at least for right now. All right, so with that being said, remember you can also grab them under the view, under rulers, and no, Sean, no, I'm not. I was being sincere. I'm glad that you said that. No, I'm totally cool. I want people to grab as much information about the quiz as possible from these lectures. I try to give little nuggets of information, if you know what I mean. All right, so now this simply turns the click on or off, right? If you click it once or turn it on and turn it off. If you click it twice real quick, bam, bam, it gets into your count off options, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But this does absolutely nothing if you do not have a click track. And so since I want that right underneath my master fader, I'm going to highlight my master fader, and I'm going to go up under track, and I'm going to get create click track. All right. If you don't remember that from last week. Now, I'm going to hit 3 fingers down. And what I'm going to do also, again, let me hit pause for a minute. This is not necessarily for you right now. You do not need a master fader or a submaster either. This is simply so it makes it easier for me to speak over the instruments and that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Shift and click on all these names. I'm going to hold down Shift and Option instead of these going to my main outputs, and it's fine if yours goes to yours right now. I'm just going to send all mine over to my submaster real quick so I can pull them down and we can click track over the music. All right, so here's what's happening now. All right, now before I do this, I want to tell you a story. Everybody ready for story time? Give me an ST if you're ready for story time. All right, all right, all right. Now I noticed somebody had a quick question before everybody gave me my STs. All right, so let's do that. As I'm taking for granted, now I know that's sometimes a bad thing to do, but I'm taking for granted, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that everybody in this room has been at least not the first person in the car at a stoplight, that you've been sometime in your life the second, third, fourth, or fifth, or sixth, or seventh, or eighth person, that you haven't been the first person at the stoplight your whole life. Can I get an R if that's right? That you've been in a place other than the first place. Okay. All right. So with that said, if you're a nerd like me, you've probably done this. If you were in a turn lane, you watched your blinker go blink, 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 and then you started watching the one in front of you, and you notice that like there's one or two times that they actually lock up, and then they start drifting, and then they lock up again, and then they drift, and it does something like this: blink, blink, blah blink, blah blink, 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 blah blink, blah blink, 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 blah, blah blink. Right? So everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? All right. So everybody says laughing. He's like, Eric is like, I thought I was the only one. But no, we're all weird. All right. So, all right. So with using that as an example, I want to show you what happens if we were to simply leave this at the default. Pro Tools defaults to 120 because a lot of songs fall near that range. But listen what happens to the click track if we left it at 120. With that as an example. Hear how sometimes for like it'll hit for one or two quarter notes, but then it gets off. Does that not remind you of the blinker? All right, so everybody put up a B if they heard the blinker effect going on that I'm talking about. All right, good. Now, here's the thing. If you did not hear that, I want to take a brief moment and talk to you about our film degrees here at Full Sail University. I'm kidding. But you need to be able to have a good sense of tempo, and you need to be able to hear that this is not exact. Even though it starts, it drifts. And even though it comes back sometimes, it drifts. All right? So what we are going to do then is I want to explain this. Let's hit pause for a second, and I'm gonna hit save. I'm gonna jump down another teaching tunnel. Okay. Now, I want everybody to agree with me for a couple of truths in just a quick second here. So the first truth is that rhythm tracks are either going to be done by a human or some sort of machine / loop. You can give me the number 1 if you think that's true. All right? It's either one or the other. All right, so here's the second one. If it is done with a machine or a loop, it should not drift in tempo. All right, so to give me a number 2, Sean's giving me a Roman number 2. That's funny. All right. So that's cool. Awesome. I'm loving this. Loving it. All right, I'm going to give y'all some delay here in a minute if you get this one. All right, so truth number 3. If it is done with a human, it is very likely going to drift minutely, even if they are listening to a click track. It will not be as an exact as a drum machine. Truth number 3, right? Now, we can all agree. Now, I think, now this gets into subjective. Truth number 4. There have been very good musicians that have been trained to play with a click track and be as tight as they can to a click track, right? And they are good musicians for what they do, right? There are other musicians that have been, all right, truth number 5, there are other musicians that have been trained to play around a click track and slow down and speed up as the feeling showed them and as the feeling moved them. And we have not said that those are bad people, right? Let's some examples, right? The people running into the woods in the horror movie, right? It gets faster and faster, dun 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 dun, or dun 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 dun, right? So we can use tempo to do things, or the dramatic pause of like dun 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 dun, right? So what with those truths in mind, so now let's go for the last and final thing. The only thing in Pro Tools that you can do is record with a click track or without a click track. So give me a word for that. Thank you, Jarvis. Thank you, Casper. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Kendrick. Thank you, Antonio, and everybody else. Thank you, Trevor, Deborah, Keenan, Richard, everybody. Yes. All right. So with or without a click track, here is my recommendation to you folks. Don't try to make somebody go with a click track. What you do is, and don't even ask them, hey, do you want a click track or not? Because then they're going to try to hey, well, do you want me to play with one? Just ask them, say, hey, do you usually use a click track or not? And if they say no, then let them roll without a click track. If they say yes, then say, all right, well, cool. What do you want it to, or tap it out for me? And if they say tap it out for me, the easiest thing to do is just highlight this and hit the T, right? And if they're like, it's going to sound like, doom dooka da ba boom ba dooka ba ba boom booka ba ba boom ba bum ba ba. You got an idea about what it is, and I'm just tapping the T key, right? And I know that sounds like something you would do like when you go on vacation, right, into Hawaii. Something's like, dude, I went to Hawaii and I tapped the T key, bruh. All right, but what I'm talking about is the letter T on the actual keyboard. I was tapping the T key as I hit that, right? So then I might set a metronome to this. But in this case, somebody recorded without a metronome, right? And so what they told us in the list is to adjust the tempo of the Pro Tools session to lock with the click track. And in the detailed instructions, it says create a tempo map, and it says use identify beat and insert for the first 2 bars and find the tempo. And so for the first bar or 2. So what I'm going to do is find, we all said this piano has got this good. So look, I'm just dragging the bottom of this. And so I can look at this piano a little bit bigger. Or if you want to right click over here, no, don't go to small, you fool. Go to large or jumbo. Right? So now I can look at this, and let's bring it down here. And I'm going to zoom, right? Do you remember which 2 keys do my zooming that I loved how I zoomed real tight? You remember that? Yeah, thank you. R and T, zoom real tight. So I'm going to try to find a loop. Now I'm going to turn my click track back off because it's not working anyway. And now, instead of grabbing the whole entire clip, I need to get inside. So I'm going to, the selector, right? So I'm going to hit Command 3 and get my selector so I can get inside here and see what's going on. So I'm going to put it right here. So can everybody pretty much tell that this is a loop right here, right between these two big spots right here? All right. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to make it easy. No more of this like zoom, 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 and grab and get lost and, you know, like, I got to get exactly, and you zoom, and like, oh, crap, where am I? And you zoom out, and you zoom in, and like that. Right? None of that thing anymore. All right? Here's what Homeboy Steve does, right? So I'm going to get to where I can see it, right? I'm going to put it in slip mode. I'm going to put it before it. I'm going to make sure this button right here called Tab to Transients is on. All right? That means, and let me just show you, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. It means that as I hit Tab, it's going to see how it moves to the different transients, my selector, right? And it's how to make great selections, right? Now, just like you can make a selection and then hold down Shift and add to it, you can do the same thing with this function. So what we're going to do is make this very easy on ourselves. I'm going to hit Tab to get right up on it, and then I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm going to keep tabbing until I get right up on that. I'm going to keep zooming, and if it zooms off the screen, no big deal. Hit the right arrow, and then I'm going to hit Shift and Tab again, and now I'm going to back out and look. Now, I'm going to make sure that I've got loop playback on. If not, I'm going to right-click on it and check it because that's the only way to make sure that it's good. Now, we've got to decide how many measures we're listening to. I think they're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So I think that's 2 measures. All right? Instead, because that'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. I don't think the rhythm's that fast. I think it's 2 bars, right? Or you might be thinking like halftime. You might get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So here's how I would gain better perspective is I would go listen and see what it sounded like later on once the drums and the vocals kicked in, and then it's going to tell us a little bit more, I think. Now check it out. I can highlight this and hit the T key. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3. I think they're doing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think that's what they're doing, right? So let's call this. Let's go back here and do it again. So I'm going to hit Tab, and then I'm just going to hold down Shift and keep hitting Tab till I get right back up to that next big transient, and I'm going to double check it. All right. So, oh, crap, man. I lost it. Man. So what I can do is up under the Edit menu, I can restore my last selection. But here's the big thing that's happening. We're going to jump down the teaching tunnel real quick. This button right here, it keeps inserting following playback, which means that when I hit stop, it makes an insert, right? And I don't want that. So I'm going to tell it, don't make an insert. Just keep the selection. All right? So let's check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So can we all agree that I think that that's 2 measures? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. All right? So now what I'm going to do, now check this out. I've got a sub counter up here, and this is kind of cool because this tells me that it's 4 seconds, but my main counter is measures, beats, and ticks, and it thinks that I've selected 1 measure, 2 beats, 908 ticks. Can everybody see that up there? Give me an ST if you see that. Right? Now, the time isn't going to change. What I'm going to do, I'm not changing the tempo. I'm going to leave that alone. But what I want to do is figure out. Now, check this out. Let's play it. Let's have another little story. Let's pretend that me and, let's see, Keenan, we're in the car, right? And we're driving down the street, and Keenan says, "Hey, Steve, how fast are you going?" I was like, "I don't know, man. My speedometer's broke." And Keenan says, "Your speedometer's broke?" And I said, "Yeah, but don't freak out, man. Check this out. Let's do a little math. Pull out your phone." And he pulls out his phone. I said, "Get your stopwatch on." And he gets the stopwatch going. I was like, "All right, we're about to hit a mile. Get ready. Here, get ready. And I'm gonna hit reset, and let's see how long it takes us to go a mile." So I go 3, 2, 1, go, boom, and he hits start, and then I hit reset on my car, and then as soon as here comes up a mile, and I said, "All right, on your mark, set, stop," right? And then he says, "What'd you got?" And I said, "I did 1 mile." He says, "Holy cow! It took us 60 seconds to go 1 mile." And we do a little math, and we're like, "All right, well, if he's going 60 seconds in a mile, and there's 60 minutes in an hour, and he must be going 60 miles per hour, right?" And so we do a little math, right? And by using time and length, we're able to figure out how much our distance is, right? Distance, rate, and time. Well, beats per minute is the same sort of thing. Now, our time is not going to change. It's going to stay 4 seconds. But how many beats it is, right now it thinks that there's 6, almost 7 beats in here, right? Because 1 bar is 4 beats, plus 2 is 7. But we're going to need to now go tell it that it's actually 2 measures. So what we're going to do is under event, we're going to go identify the beginning and the end of what we just did. And we're going to say, all right, if it started at measure 3 and it was 2 bars long, I want to call the end of that measure 5. So it says, okay, cool. Well, I'll call it 2 measures then. And look, it's still 4 seconds. I'm not changing the speed. And now my click works with it. Because it said, well, if there's 8 beats in 4 seconds, then there must be 138.2173 in a minute. Did everybody get that analogy? Give me an A if you've got that analogy, right? That I highlighted a loop and told it what I heard. I went to identify beat, and it did the math. Let's look at this now. So, the remix milestone simply says adjust the tempo so the Pro Tool session locks. So now what I've just done is I used identify beat for the first bar or 2 of the audio to find the tempo. Did that make sense? Give me an MS if that made sense. I used identify beat. I highlighted the first bar or 2. And we did that. All right, so now what happens, though, is we've got this bad thing going on because now it's going to start at 120 and then jump up to 138. And that would suck. Can you imagine playing music and going like, all right, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, doom, 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 right? So listen to what our click does. And that's stupid, isn't it? I mean, can you imagine being a musician and listen to 2 bars a click and then it changes? So what we need to do now is put that same tempo at the beginning. And so that's why over here in your guidelines it says insert that same tempo change at bar 1. All right, so we're going to go insert that same tempo change at bar 1. So the easiest way to do this is put your cursor behind here. And then when you hit the plus button, notice how it grabbed the same exact number? If I didn't do that, if I put it behind here and hit plus, it always looks forward. So listen to me. Believe me now. Hear me later. Put it behind the tempo change and then hit plus, and it grabs the correct number, and then simply tell it that you want measure 1 to be like that. So now it says, all right, boom, it goes there. But now I got a problem because look, when it adjusted that, now nothing starts at measure 3 anymore. Right? So let's do 3 fingers down. So what mode did we say was the easiest one to put something at a certain spot? So I just go get spot mode again. So option 3, I get my grabber again, command 4, and I just go click everybody and put everybody back at measure 3. And now let's listen. Now you start hearing it drift again. So that plus sign is right on the tempo ruler here. And remember, if you're not seeing the tempo ruler, make sure you go under view and under rulers and you see that tempo ruler, right? And then I'm under the plus. Now, remember, you have to be in conductor mode, like we talked about on Tuesday night, in order to add a tempo change. So see how these projects roll into each other, right? It's like I wanted you to do a tempo change. We made you do that, and now because tonight, now we're jumping more into some tempo stuff and see how these. So what? And I'm expecting you to take the knowledge that you're learning from the Pro Tools assignments and start applying them in your remix stuff, right? So as now we need to start going and fixing this and tightening it up. So what we're going to do until we have a drum track, we're going to use the piano track. So if we know this is measure 3, then what is this? If this is measure 3 and we made this measure 5, what is this going to be then probably? Measure 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my selector tool, I'm going to put myself in slip mode, and I'm going to go pop it just beforehand, and I'm going to hit tab and get right up on it. And it says, hey, I'm measure 7, beat 1, tick 24. And I'm like, no. I don't want that. Because I just check this out. Here's something sneaky you can do. Check out measure 5. Make sure you make a good selection. Don't listen to the click. So that's perfect, right? So now what I do is I can either go ahead and do identify beat again, or I'm going to show you this window instead. I'm just going to hit tab. Look, tab. So it got right up there. 7124. So now I'm going to hit command I. That's identify beat. Right? That's another one that you're going to start using a lot. And it says, hey, that's 7-1. I say, nope, I want it to be measure 7. And I just hit 7. It clears everything out. And I hit OK. And it, again, does the calculation and starts changing it. Right? So now I'm going to go right here. I'm going to hit tab. And what's this measure probably going to be? Or supposed to be? It says it's 84955. But what do we know it should be? It should be measure 9. So I hit command I and say, nope, that's measure 9. And I'm just going to keep moving forward, right? Now at this point, I can make judgment to start jumping to the drum track or the piano track because they're both great pieces. Now at this point, see how sharp and distinctive the drum track is? This is where I might start doing the drum track and go in and start doing this. Now, people are saying, well, do I want to do all measures? Well, if the click is off, do you want to be able to quantize stuff and do things as you work throughout your song? Because it's going to quantize to whatever the click does, right? And so if you want to be able to do the cool things like quantize and copy and use things like real numbers like measure 9 to measure 12 or measure 25 to measure 28 or whatever, then yes, you're going to need to do this to every measure or two if it was played with a human, right? Because a drum machine, if it was played with the drum machine and it never changes, then you don't need to do this. But let's jump up to the drum track now. So we know that this hit right here is probably what the piano is lining up with, and it's 1122. So I'm going to hit Command I and call that measure 11. And this is where the vocals come in, right? So I know that this one up here, I'm going to pop this one up in the drum, and I know that's probably 13, right? 12, 4, 891. Yep, that's probably measure 13. So Command I, measure 13, right? So I'm using this as a guide here, right? So that's probably lining up with this one. So right there. So 15, 140. So we know that's probably 15. So I want everybody to put IDB if you are understanding why I am identifying beat. Because now what I want you to do is listen to the click track, and it's going to be perfect until I've stopped doing it now. And it's okay that it changes. Here's the last place we did it. And now it's going to eventually start drifting. Yep, I'm hearing it get off now. Can y'all hear how it's starting to drift now? So that's why it's important, right? Because if I wanted to say right there, what are we around measure 28? Check this out. If I tried to select measure 26, measure 26 to measure 28. Oh, come on. Measure 26 to measure 28. Listen, it's not a good it's close, but it's not perfect, right? So I'm interested in being perfect. Now, at the same time, who was it that asked me that? Was it Seth? Did you ask me that? I want to make sure that everybody knows why I want to do this. Because if somebody says, hey, no, Steve, this is all recorded. All I want you to do is mix it. And if they didn't need me to add any instruments and I didn't need to quantize and I was just interested in having my delays be in time, then I might only do like the verse in the chorus and the verse in the chorus and that kind of stuff. But because I'm going to be adding instruments and trying to use the MIDI aspects of this program, I'm totally going to want to be perfect, right? So I'm going to do one or two more to get this verse going, but I do expect you to do the entire song. Alex is saying, will you tell us how to navigate the start and end with the keyboard again? Oh, does anybody want to answer that for Alex? How I was able to do this? See how I do my start and end and highlight that? Because you can edit in a flash. Very good, Thomas. That / rocking it, right? Because when you tell somebody how big your fish was that you caught and you tilt your fingers sideways a little bit, you get a / and a / makes you edit in a flash, right? So let's get back to here. So 15. So this is probably 17. Let's go look at 17 right here. So it's probably here. And so I'm going to hit Command I, 17. This is probably 19. And so I'm going to hit Tab, because that tab to transient is what makes it perfect, right? And see how I'm right there? So I'll say, nope, that should be number 19. And then I'm just kind of using this as a guide because I know the way they're playing is every 2 measures, right? So I'll put this up. So hit Tab, and yep, that should be 21. So I'll hit Command I, 21, and it makes it perfect. Notice that the time does not change. So I'm not changing the tempo of the song. I'm just adjusting the tempo so the click track is perfect. Yeah, that's right around there. So that's going to be right there, and that's going to be measure 23. And you can check yourself, right? To make sure you've done it right, type in a loop and check it. So I'm going to hit save at this point. So I want, I think I saw, I'm going to scroll up real quick. I think I saw everybody giving me the ID beat for identify beat, that you now know why I use identify beat, because that is perfect for, yes, you should totally get in the habit of saving a lot. And that is identify beat is what you use when the drummer says, no, I'm not used to using a click track, or no, I'm cool without a click. You say, all right, good. Because then later on, when they're gone, to make your life easy, let's say we're working with Pink Floyd, right? And they say, no, mates, we're good with doing it on. We've been doing it for a while. And so they got this bass part, right? And they're going, and you know that the bass is just hitting dong, 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 but he's playing in tempo with the triplet delay going. So what I would do, I would go in after the fact and I would highlight that and use my identify beat so I could go in and start tracking that kind of stuff. How much do the transient selection, if it's not too much? Hey, question, how much do the transient selection, if it's not too much? Keenan, ask me that in a different way. I'm not quite sure what you're asking. I think what you're asking is that tab to transient, or, and that's why I like tab to transient, because it gets right up on there. And if you start zooming in and seeing, I mean, it's right there. I mean, it's being perfect for us. He says, I get what you're doing. It's just the function you're using to do it. So, Philip, I am totally doing it by hand because I want it to be perfect. There are ways to let the computer do it for you, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So, kind of like the math teacher that said, I'm going to make sure that you learn long division first. Because remember, Philip, what's up with my expectation? I want you to be a scarecrow, right? So homeboy Steve is going to make sure that you're not going to rely on these ways to do it, that you're going to be able to do it by hand if you don't have that ability at the studio. All right. So can you just click the wave and then press tab? So yes, I'm just clicking in the wave and then pressing tab to get up on it. Now, as you notice, the reason that I chose the drums to do this is because I've got a lot less to tab through than if I was on the piano, right? See, I've got a lot more piano transients than I do drum transients. So that's why I chose the drums as soon as I could. How did I turn on tab to transient? Now, so this is kind of cool. It's right up here, this tab to transient right here. And I want to see if in here, if I look tab, hang on, help, tab to transient. Check this out. Under the menu, if to find it, just type in the help menu, and you can find out how to get that going on and turn that on and off. All right, so that's that button right there. So I turned it on and we're doing that. So I'm going to hit save, and we are going to listen one last time of how my session is in tempo. My click is working. We are okay that there are small fluctuations in the tempo because it is human, and that's what we call groove, right? Because I mean, can you imagine how boring I would be if I talked the same exact tempo and made my words like on this meter click? And if music is supposed to be more moving than words, Why wouldn't we want to have these small? Because I know y'all aren't going like, oh my gosh, I just heard them speed up. Oh my gosh, I just heard them, you know. But listen what happens if you don't do it. And they start getting off, right? Now, what happened to our drums? Did I do something to my drums to make it click here? Because I think my drums started earlier than that because I was doing this. So when I'm not sure what I do, I'm going to go under Window, and I'm going to look at my undo history. All right, and look at that, trim to start insertion. Nope, didn't want to do that. So now, let's listen. And again, the small transitions are okay. That's what humans do. I mean, when I play, I get excited. You know, when I'm to be dramatic, I slow down. You know. Now, we've made the click. Now, so they sped up, David, and I am matching it with my ruler, right? Notice that the times don't change on the clock. The absolute time doesn't change, but the relative time of beats per minute, because something per something, that's relative, right? So now I've got this perfectly tracked out, and it is metered. And when I'm looking at my instructions, we use we realign the song to measure 3. We continue to use identify beat throughout the song if the metronome drifts. And if these steps are done correctly, the song will start at bar 3, and the metronome will play in time with the music throughout the whole song. All right, so on your milestone, that's what adjusting the clip is, adjusting the tempo of your Pro Tools session to lock with the clip, is that big section in your remix for week 1, right? So now that we've got that, and I'm not going to do the rest of the song because it would take the rest of the lecture, and I want to get on to making markers, right? But what you're able to see here is that I want to be able to see your marker lines as you've gone through this, and that your click, because let me show you this. Now I'm going to jump ahead, and don't worry about it. I'm going to explain what I'm doing very slowly next week, but I'm just going to get a little, I'm just going to make a kick drum track, like 4 on the floor kick drum track. And I want to show you why this is important, because, you know, 4 on the floor kick drum is very common, right? And so check this out. If I just really sillily took the line tool. Now, I'm not line tool to you. You take that line tool, and then I put myself in grid mode, right? Now, I'm not line to you. The line tool is going to be easiest. And you put yourself in grid mode and make your grid a quarter note, right? Check this out. I'm just going to go and go brr, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go back to the clips. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say take measure 3 / measure 4, enter on this instrument track right here. And now, see how it's weird? See how it didn't select it? I don't know why it's doing that, because look, if I go here, it makes the selection. If I go back, it shows me the selection now. And just repeat it, right? Repeat it, sorry, Option R, right? Repeat it like 100 times, fine. All right, so now here's what's going to happen. I'm just going to quickly make this a drum track, and I promise I will do this slowly on next week to show you how to do this. But I want to show you why this is important, since somebody was like, do we have to do it on the whole song? Actually, I'm gonna pretend that he was like my 13-year-old and say, "Do I have to do it on the whole song? How come I gotta do it on the whole song, Dad? How come I gotta do it?" Right? So I'm like, Brody, um, just do it because I told you to. Right? But check this out. Um, so here's why. Because look how cool this is. When I put this on a kick drum, all right, so listen. And the other notes were supposed to be there, so we're just going to move those up front, right? All right. So now here's what we're going to do. And then, so we got this going now. Like my kick drum, I just wrote it. And it follows it. See how it follows it exactly, right? But watch what happens when we get to the spot after I quit tempo mapping and I quit using identify beat. You're going to hear that both my click and my kick are going to drift because the kick and the click are locked. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, if you're having problems hearing this, I want to talk to you about our business degrees that we have here at Full Sail University. I'm going to undo that, and I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to delete this for right now. Yes, delete it. So that's why it's important. I just wanted to show you that. And I am kidding, but I am being serious in that if you are having trouble feeling the beat, I want you to make sure that you are making a great career decision. Oh, yeah. Come on, yeah. All right, so I got all that stuff up. Command S. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go put some markers in it. Y'all ready for story time? Give me an ST if you're ready for story time. Save as. Yeah, I see some of those. All right, so we're going to call this marker. Right, marker. All right, so I promise this is absolutely true. When I got to Nashville, I got very, very lucky. A lady named Nicole Lucy Gutermith was working at the cell phone shop in the Green Hills Mall and asked me why I changed my phone number. I told her I was an engineer looking for an internship, and she turned around and called Nicole Cochran, who is the office manager of Emerald Entertainment at the time, and got me an interview the next day, and I became their intern and got to the first. I ran into Travis Tritt there the first day of my thing. First internship, first session was Vince Gill, and on that Vince Gill record, I was like, holy crap, I cannot believe that I'm here with Vince Gill. And they handed me a lyric sheet. And I thought, well, isn't this cool? They're handing the intern a lyric sheet. They're just trying to make me feel part of the group, right? So what happened after that is after the first take, the the bass player says, "Hey, I want to do something different as we go into that second chorus." And so the engineer looks at me and says, "Where's the second chorus?" And I said, "Well, it's after the fourth verse." And he says, "Don't be a smartass." And I said, "Oh shit." And he says, "You didn't write this down?" I said, "Oh crap. I'll go write." So I said, "Next time you play it through, I'll write everything down." And so what I was supposed to be doing, because this is back in analog, right? And so what I was supposed to be doing is, as they were singing, every other line I would write down the number on the tape machine. So when they asked me to go to a certain line, I would say, "Oh, it's at 38 seconds," or "It's at 1 minute 12 seconds," or "At 2 minutes and 18 seconds," right? So, and then they go, which is the sound of a tape machine speeding up and slowing down, if you haven't ever heard that, and or a big one before. And so I really felt like a, let's just say, a donkey, and for not keeping this up. So Pro Tools, all right, that's the end of story time. Everybody, don't everybody say yay, because then it's like, yay, he's done telling a story. But all right, so Pro Tools makes it easy for you, right? So you want to be able to get to the intro and the verse and the chorus and all this super quick, right? This is the part where you say right. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Kendra. There we go. Thank you, Randy, Jonathan, Michael, Jarvis, Philip. I missed Deborah in there. Erica, Philip, Sean, Nicholas, Antonio, Caspa, Erica, Alex. I used to have a bird named Casper, and he'd say, "Casper, Rasper." I'm totally serious. A little, and because he was a white bird, and so he was a little pied cockatiel. You go, "Casper, Rasper, Rasper." It was awesome. I hope that doesn't make you feel weird. All right, so check it out. We got everything up here, and now here's one of those things that I'm going to tell you, because now we're moving on. Moving on up, we're going to create some memory locations for this session of the song. Now this is going to be very easy, because Homeboy Steve tells you how to do it, right? So all you have to do is hit enter, right? And so we're going to do this for identifying parts of the songs. Throughout the month, we're going to come back and identify some of these things, but right now we're just identifying parts of the song. So what we're going to do is go under the window and make sure we look at our memory locations. We are going to make sure that we are not auto-naming them, because we want to type them in. Now, the weirdest thing about Pro Tools and marker, or memory locations and markers, are the same thing. So as we hit these memory locations, you're going to see them populate up here on the markers ruler. So you have a memory locations window, but a markers ruler. So the way you do it is you hit enter, and enter pops it up, and you'll type whatever it is, and then you've got it, right? So I'm going to delete that. I'm just going to hold down option, and we can delete it. So what we're going to do now, some of you are like, "Well, when I hit return, it takes me to the beginning. I don't get that." Well, check it out. Look at it. You just said it. You hit return, right? And you're like, "But it says enter right above it." Right? Well, on my big keyboard, guess what it says? It just says return. And enter, guess where that is? You're right. It's way over on the calculator keypad. So here's what we're going to do, homeboys and homegirls. You ready for a little trick the system? You want a life hack? You want a Mac hack? You want a keyboard hack? I am the hackiest of hackers in the world, brah. So check it out. If you look down, Alex is jumping the gun, right? But he doesn't know the fun that we can have. Alex is saying, if you look down in the lower left-hand corner, you have a function button, and the letters on it are FN. So if you will hold down the FN button and then hit return, it acts as enter. So if you will hold down the FN button while you hit return, you can get it. So while you are in play, I'm going to hit return. You might hit F and return. So that F and button can do some great things. See what I mean? Alex didn't have that kind of fun. All right, now one thing I want to mention before I do this, I'm gonna hit this. If you do it wrong, if you're in slip mode, you're not gonna be able to do it well. Because it is literal, right? I hit it exactly. Oh no! Why did it go to grid mode? I wanted to go to slip mode. You want to do it in grid mode, but I want to show you why not to use slip mode. Okay, because in slip mode, it will literally go to wherever you hit it, right? And you're probably not going to hit it exactly, right? So now, I'm going to hold down Option and get rid of those. So the way you want to do this is you want to do it in grid mode, and that way, if you're a little bit off, or when you're off, you are going to be a little bit off, it's going to nail it exactly. And then the way to minimize your mistake is just go ahead and do it on a full bar, right? And so now when I go through and type, and I'm going to type out the song. Sorry, cancel. I meant to hit return.
Last night I packed all your bags and set them out next to the trash. I'm sure you would have done the same if you'd been right here in my place. And I just wanna know you.
All right. Now the reason that I know these aren't full verses, but I wanted to lay down a lot of them because I knew that it wasn't going to be tempo mapped over here, and so I wanted to show you that why you do the tempo map first. Because now look, now everywhere I go, see how it's hitting right on a measure, and check it out. You can hold Shift and like get part of it. So if you did your tempo map right and your markers right, you're going to be able to have many of these. And that is what they're talking about by identifying parts of the song. I want to see at least 5 of those, all right, throughout your whole song. A verse 1, verse 2, let's see, intro, verse 1, verse 2, probably a chorus 1, a chorus 2, and an outro at least. You know, so that's what we're doing there. So that's what it says by create memory locations in your session and define the song structure. All right, so lastly, arranging the song then. So after sections of the song are identified, rearrange the song. And so this is where you have fun now, because now you're just you've learned how to do some editing, and we're making a remix, right? So on the vocals, right, maybe we want to do this, right? By the way, I'm going to hit S for save, Command S. I'm going to do a save as, and let's call this arranged. All right, so what I'm going to do is I just want to make sure that this is the vocal.
Last night.
So notice how when you hit save, or sorry, solo, it mutes everything. So I wanted to, because I had everything going through the submaster, I wanted to make it safe from getting muted. So I hit Command and hit S, and then on my live mic so I could continue to talk. So I hit solo so I could hear vocal.
Last night,
All right, so let's go play with her vocal a little bit.
last night I packed all your bags.
We'll do like a little, something. So I'm going to go into slip mode here.
Bags, bags,
I'm going to turn off the click.
bags.
So I'm going to hit tab. And then what I might do is like a little 30-second note grid just so I can see like how big they are. Usually 30-second notes go good with this. And I'll go ahead and get grid mode there if I want. Now notice it won't loop anything that's that small. But now what I'm going to do is in grid mode, I'm just going to just duplicate that a couple times.
All your bags.
And then what I can do is I can take these right here. Let me go back to slip mode, Command 2. Go a little before and a little behind them. And check this out. Under Edit, you can start doing fades and create some crossfades in here, and then it won't sound so bad.
Bags. Bags. And set them out next to the trash.
Now let's do something in the middle of trash. Let's do something in the middle of that. So I'm going to go back to grid. Go back to slip. Highlight a little over, do Command F, get some fades going on.
To the trash.
Save. Click, come on. All right, so now here's what we should be by the end of the day.
Last night I packed all your bags and set them out next to the trash. I'm sure you.
So you can have some fun with that. So the remix has to be the same tempo as the original song. Now, it is going to be a lot easier on you to make it that way. And it's without getting into some more of the advanced functions, Erica, a lot of times people do change the tempo of remixes, and that's going to be more of an advanced type of function that you're going to do with Pro Tools. So if you want to stick around after some time, I'll be more than happy. I see that I accidentally put it in shuffle mode, and so I want to make sure that I don't do that. So let's go under Undo History. And so if I duplicate it in shuffle mode, I didn't want to do that because it would have pushed everything else out there. So now what I can do, maybe, no.
Sure you would have done the same.
Where were we?
Last night I packed all your bags and set them out
All right, so in grid mode is where I wanted to be there when I did that. Now I think maybe I did my delay or my duplicate in grid mode, but then I think it was shuffle mode, and that probably wouldn't have made a difference because I was just doing a fade. If I was moving stuff around, it totally would have made a difference.
trash.
So anyway, um, so yes, let's leave the song in the original tempo for right now. So I'm gonna hit save, and then let's quickly go through here then. So we created our markers and we arranged the song. All right, so that's good. Let's see what the week 2 is. So what we want you to do now is you made your Dropbox account. You downloaded the files for your remix. You created the new session. You created the click. You changed the Pro Tool, the tempo using identify beat and all that kind of stuff. We created memory locations. And so then all I want you to do is create a bunch of snapshots with this. All right. So as you do this, the easiest way to do is get a Word doc going on here. So let's go to Word. I think I've got Word loaded up. I'm going to do Command W, Command N, and get a new Word document up. And so what you're going to do is this is going to be your assignment here. And so you get and it says each week you're going to be submitting this, so you got to do your screenshots, right? And so this just lets us help. I'm not going to read this to you, but basically you're getting a bunch of screenshots. So you're going to get in Word. Remember that screenshots are automatically on your desktop, and make sure you turn that Word document or text edit document into a PDF. All right. So you got to get these 4 screenshots. So let's say this is one that we've got to get. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to paste it about your Mac. So now I'm going to go grab the screenshot that I did earlier tonight of about my Mac. There we go. And I'm going to grab it out here. Right? And then you'll go to your next one. And you're going to get about your Pro Tools. So you go here, hit return, about Pro Tools. And you go to your Finder, and there's your about Pro Tools, and you get all this. All right? So you're going to get all this. You are going to name it your first name, last name, and all that. So you're going to copy that. So now we're going to hit save. Come on. We're going to hit save. So we're going to put Steve Kane. Let's throw it on the desktop. Hit save. And then you're not done yet. Now take this under your print menu. Command P will get you your print menu up under the file menu. Down here where it says PDF, save it as a PDF. Leave that name the same, and that's what I want you to turn in. So when you go in, you're going to turn in the PDF. You are not going to turn in the Word document. You are not. That deserves delay. Come on, where's the delay? You will not turn in the Word document. So, and if you want to, if it confuses you, take that, put it in the trash. I don't care. All right, so this is what you're going to turn into me. So, at the end of the night, let's look at it. It basically, you got 25 points for it, for each image. We get some additional deductions if you don't label stuff. If you don't turn it in with a PDF, you're going to get nothing. And if you turn in, just like I said last time, late assignments will not be accepted. But remember, if you're having problems, make sure you get through FSO, and obviously we'll give you a hand there. So that is tonight's presentation of Pro Tools Assignment 1. Normally, these are going to go a bit faster because I don't generally go over the milestone projects with you now that you know that they are just giving snapshots. But I want to ask quickly if anybody else has any questions about this. Usually, as I tell people, usually by midnight or 2 in the morning, this will be up and ready to go on the archive pages, if not sooner than that. So I want to thank Alex, Antonio, Casper, Charlie, Sierra, David, Deborah, Dimitri, Erica, Jarvis, Jonathan, Kendrick, Matthew, Mercedes, Michael L. and Michael S., Nick, Philippe, Randy, Willie, Sean C., Sean W., and Tuma. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great week, and I'll be here next Tuesday at 7 o'clock with the Week 2 Tuesday night show for the Audio Workstations class. As always, it has been a pleasure being here. Again, my name is Steve Kane, and peace out.